Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday and welcome to a fresh edition of ESPN FC. I'm Alexis Nunez, back in the hot seat with Shaka Hislop, Colombia Shaka, apparently.
That was a long time ago.
Still trying to practice his Espanol. And Alejandro Moreno, who will soon be España Ale Moreno. More on that later, though, right, because let's dive into some transfer talk, shall we? Let's get you up to date on what we are monitoring. Of course, the big one there, Benjamin Sesko. He's a wanted man by Manchester United and Newcastle, but it looks like he will be joining the Red Devils at Old Trafford. Darwin Nunez on his way out of Liverpool. Seems like he will be heading to Al-Hilal in Saudi Arabia. As for Alexander Isak, the saga continues because it's not looking nice, Shaka. It seems like he has been told to train away from the first team at Newcastle, so much so that he's actually been told to arrive after the first team players have left the building. All right, Gab Marcotti is also joining us, and fresh from his luxurious vacation, Frank Leboeuf is also joining us as well. But Gab, let's start with you on Benjamin Sesko, because it looks like Manchester United will be the place for the Slovenian striker.
Yeah, everybody seems to be reporting that he has chosen Manchester United, that's his preference. United over Newcastle, who, of course, were also strongly linked with him. And yeah, you can all see that fee, which is a lot of money. But, you know, you're getting a guy who I think most people agree has an incredible toolkit and a really, really high upside, even though he's not coming off a particularly good season. And of course, there's a lot of questions, which I'm sure we're going to go through, is how accustomed is he to leading the line on his own? And obviously, how is he going to adapt to the Premier League? And he's still very young. And what actually happened last year? Was it just Leipzig kind of like dragging him down? But yeah, they've made their move, and looks like it's Sesko.
Ale, what do you make of this one? Are you a fan of this one? We spoke about it a lot on the show yesterday, and everyone was kind of questioning on whether, as Gab said, he is the one to lead that line for Manchester United, if he's good enough to carry Manchester United potentially into the top half of the table.
Well, I agree that there is a toolkit, as Gab addressed it there, that can be impressive when you see the physicality of the player, and yet you see in terms of the skill set that he's able to play with the ball at his feet, that he's able to dribble, that he's able to combine. You put all those things together and you kind of go, man, this guy is a world beater. And then you watch him play every weekend, as I was tasked to do all of last season in Bundesliga play. And I can tell you that this is a player that in moments can be outstanding. In fact, 2 or 3 games at a time can be outstanding and then goes missing for long periods of time. Look, he was in the same front line with Luis Openda and Xavi Simons. Players who in Bundesliga and really in any league should be very productive players. And when you look at Leipzig last season, part of the issue that they had is that for all the possession and ball control that they had in matches, they were unable to consistently put teams away by scoring goals consistently. And that's a word that I would use time and time again when I talk and describe Benjamin Sesko. He is inconsistent. He is yet to mature as a player, and to really mature as a player that can look to be not only the guy leading the line, but consistently, again, I'll use that word, combine with other players around him. The talent and the skill set seems to be there, but he hasn't pulled it all together just yet. If you're a Manchester United fan, you hope that that's happening sooner rather than later.
Frank, let me go to you on this one, because the offers from Manchester United and Newcastle were pretty similar. And we heard from Jan just last week when I asked him about the preference of the player, and it seemed like he always did want to go to Manchester United. If you were in his shoes, would you have chosen United now over Newcastle?
Right now, no, of course not. You know, according to what I see from Manchester United and what I saw last season, for example, and the season before from Newcastle, no, you will go to Newcastle because you know that I would say that in terms of results, you are pretty sure that you can fight for the Champions League or the Europa League with Newcastle, where we have doubts about that club, which once have been one of the best clubs, if not the best club in the world, and is not anymore. So it's a dream for him. So let's allow him to fulfill his dream. But I have to say that no, I wouldn't go if I was him. But if I were him, sorry. But it's what he wants. And on the other side, I was listening to Alejandro. It's hard for Manchester United to catch the top of the top right now because of what I said. Because Manchester United is not the club that it used to be. So you get players who you have doubts, who can be inconsistent, and that's where the level is right now for Manchester United.
I'll tell you what, when Frank calls me Alejandro, it shook me up a little bit.
Reminds you of your dad?
Like you're in trouble?
With a French accent as well. I felt it. Did you feel it?
I felt it. Serious Frank. Full name, government name. Shaka, well, I guess if we're going to take from what Frank says, it sounds like Sesko's making a big mistake then not choosing your Newcastle.
And I most certainly would agree. Listen, I'm going to try my best not to show my bias, but to Frank's point, while Manchester United have a history about them, where they are right now is not one that leans into that history. And at 22 years old, Sesko coming to the Premier League, trying to decide between two clubs. One, at the very least, has Champions League for this season. The others are, well, last season's finish was a long way off. You just wonder if that. I thought that would have been a greater motivating factor than a history of 10 or 15 years ago, or whatever it may be. Now, also to that point, while I as a player, and again, I understand it. As a player, you always back yourself. It's part of who you are. It's part of your identity. Every single player who makes it to this level backs themselves regardless. So he sees himself as that missing piece for Manchester United. To go in there and make United who they were 10 or 15 years ago, as I referenced. But now, me being on the outside looking in, I question whether that's the right move for him. He's young. I don't think he's the player to lead the line for Manchester United in that way. He's still developing, and kind of given a lot of the dysfunction that you've seen around Manchester United, I question again if it's the best move for him and his development.
Gab, you heard from the boys there. Anything to add before we push on?
Yeah, no, just the flip side is from Newcastle's perspective, and this is what makes me slightly skeptical about the Newcastle side of it, is Alexander Isak is still a Newcastle player for the time being. There's no guarantee that he's going to leave, that he's going to move to Liverpool or whatever. If you're Sesko, I think you're also taking that into account. The possibility that, hey, what happens if Isak ends up sticking around? I know Isak can play on the wing, but are they really going to shift him on the wing to make room for me? So I think that played into it as well. But yeah, beyond that, I agree with you. He's a young player and he needs time to grow. And he will have asked himself, what is the right club for me to grow as a player? Is it United or is it Eddie Howe in Newcastle?
All right, well, Newcastle in a little bit of a spot of bother now, considering the fact that Alex Isak seems to be wanting out of Newcastle, probably heading to Liverpool. Sesko going to choose Manchester United again over Newcastle. So who do they go to? Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea. Is that the answer, Ale Moreno? You've seen both Sesko and Nicholas Jackson play a lot. Who would you choose?
Okay, right. As you asked me this question, I actually will hand the floor to Shaka Hislop, who has said, when I have described Nico Jackson as a player, and I said that he could cause chaos to back lines, I believe that Shaka, and I quote, said something along the lines of he creates chaos for his own team. So you go, Shaka, you tell me, Nico Jackson, Benjamin Sesko.
Listen, I'll be honest, the Nico Jackson option doesn't make an awful lot of sense to me, other than it being a financial one, a cheap and quick fix. But I just feel that there are other options out there.
But if Isak leaves, surely they need to go for somebody.
Absolutely, they have to go for somebody. Sesko is a preferred option. If he chooses Manchester United, then you have to start looking at elsewhere. Ollie Watkins certainly was a target of Manchester United, but they kind of were put off by his age. But if you need an immediate fix and somebody proven in the Premier League, Ollie Watkins is an option. We said Brentford, kind of given Brentford's mass departure this summer, available. He's only a year younger than Watkins, but still a viable option. For me, I just don't see Nicholas Jackson as being the person to fill any kind of void, let alone one left by Alexander Isak.
That's the serious Shaka Hislop voice going down.
Yeah. So you like Nico Jackson, so you're saying.
I like him at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly go to Gab on this one. Gab, who do you think is better? Because looking at their stats over the last 2 seasons, not that much separates them.
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest differences is that Jackson did it in the Premier League, and Jackson did it at a big club in the Premier League, like Chelsea. So I think you would take that into account. The other tick I think in Jackson's box is that Nico Jackson can also come in from a wide area. You can stick him out on the left wing, and he can be pretty devastating. Coming inside on his right foot. So you give yourself kind of that plan B if Isak does stick around. Now I think somebody mentioned that Jackson is the cheaper option. I don't know cheaper than who though, because Chelsea are saying they value him at 80 million. That sounds like an awful lot of money. I think they're going to have to come down from that. They can come down from that because, of course, they've got 2 seasons of amortization under his belt, and they didn't pay a lot for him to begin with because I think they activated a clause in his contract when they signed him. Nevertheless, I just think they're very different profiles of players, and what you're going to run into and what Newcastle absolutely want to avoid is they have to get their timing right on this. What they don't want is to let Isak go, and then suddenly everybody knows that they're sitting on 120 million, 130 million, and the clock is ticking, and then suddenly prices go up. For me, I don't think Jackson's is a bad signing. He's shown he can play center forward in the Premier League, and I think that means something. He obviously doesn't have the upside that Sesko has, but I thought we saw a lot of progress from him last year, especially in the first half of the season.
To Gab's point, I think I said Jackson's a cheaper option. I'm thinking loan. Nicholas Jackson signed, 9 years back in December, a 9-year deal or something ridiculous like that back in December. I'm already skeptical about Nicholas Jackson as any kind of a replacement.
No, really? You don't say. What?
let alone with an 8-year contract.
He's actually
that.
signed until 2033.
8 years. So let alone 8 years behind that. I'm thinking a cheaper option in that maybe a loan is Chelsea may be willing to go for a loan while Newcastle figure out exactly who that longer term replacement for Isak is.
Frank, you had a little chuckle there when you heard Gab explaining what could be the potential details of this deal. Definitely not cheaper. 80 million, though, for Nicholas Jackson. What do you think of this?
Well, I think it's time to be serious a little bit. Thank you. Come on. I wish to any players to rebound from a bad season, maybe 2 bad seasons, and I really wish to Nicholas Jackson to find a club and to show us that we shouldn't be skeptical because that guy is a tremendous striker. But as far as we have known and seen his performances, I'm sorry, I have doubts. And if I hear that a club, like I thought a club was serious enough to hire Shaka Hislop at the time, would be ready to pay 80 million to get Nicholas Jackson, I'm sorry, I have doubts about the seriousness of that club because I don't think he's going to fill the hopes that the Geordies have for this season in the Champions League, and I have big doubts about his potential to make people forgetting Isak if Isak has to go. Really, I was expecting somebody else.
I want to stand up and clap and hug the agent of Nicholas Jackson, who got him signed up until 2033 with Chelsea. Well done, sir. Well done.
Wow, I hope Nicholas Jackson does not watch this show. Let's talk about Darwin Nunez then, shall we? My namesake there at Liverpool. It looks like he's on his way to Al-Hilal for 53 million euros plus add-ons. Gab, let me come to you for this one now. We've spoken about Darwin Nunez's role at Liverpool, especially with all of the new and potential additions that Liverpool could be adding to their squad this summer. We all agreed that it was time for him to find a new chapter elsewhere. So is this good business all around?
I think it's very good business. I think, when you consider that he's still on Liverpool wages, he's got years left on his contract. He's, in terms of that A word again, the amortization word, which is by the way, is a huge part of the reason why Liverpool are able to spend so much this summer, is that they spent less in previous years. You are getting money back. He will count as a profit. I think this is a wonderful deal for Liverpool if they can get it over the line. I mean, again, I'm not as anti-Darwin Nunez as some people on here. I do think he contributes something, but man, if you can get that sort of fee, 53 million, plus rising with add-ons, I think you take it.
Frank, Darwin Nunez, we know it didn't work out how many would have wanted it to at Liverpool. There was interest for him in Italy as well, but ultimately it looks like he's heading to Saudi. Are you disappointed to see him go to Saudi?
Yes, I am, because he's 25, 26 years old, I think, and I think it's too early. With all due respect to that Saudi league, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to enjoy it and he's going to take lots of money, but as I always say, if you're under 30 and you decide to go to those, exotic championship, you don't like football. You like money, and that's fair. And but you decide to say goodbye to what you love the most, football. And when you're 33, 32, 34, 35, no problem. You can go there, enjoy, get the money, but Darwin Nunez could have rebounded somewhere else and maybe be the player that he was in Portugal and enjoy playing in Italy in one of the 5 best leagues in the world, and maybe go within 5 years to Saudi Arabia. That's disappointing for me. Well done, Liverpool. Get the money. Bye-bye, Darwin Nunez. Good luck to you. But yeah, that's not nice.
That's one way to describe it. All right, well, let's have a look at some of Liverpool's forwards and midfielders there. You can see the ones highlighted in yellow are expected to leave this summer. So it just goes to show you the kind of business that Liverpool are waiting to complete. Shaka, I think this all points to the awful truth for you that Alex Isak is probably on his way there.
I'm still in denial, Alexis. I have no idea what points to that at all. Listen, credit to Liverpool and the way they've done their business. Not just this summer, which, let's be honest, in Premier League terms, Liverpool have won the transfer window, but in years leading up, so that they are able to secure the talents of Virch and still be potential bidders for Isak even after the Ekitike purchase. The worrying thing for everybody else is, as I said yesterday, I think it was, that as good as Liverpool were last season, as dominant as they were in the Premier League, by far and away the best team in the league, this version of Liverpool, potentially, they haven't kicked a ball yet, but this version of Liverpool is or can be so much better. And if everybody's playing catch-up before, it's a little concerning for everybody else, kind of given where they very well may be.
All I'm going to say about Liverpool is, while I agree in the potential of this group, if they get all the pieces that they want in place and all those pieces that are delivering to the level that we expect them to, yes, I'm with you, Shaq. They're a little light in numbers right now in the attack. Luis Diaz, gone. Mm-hmm. Darwin Nunez, potentially gone, as we just reported. The untimely death of Diogo Jota. And you start looking at the numbers itself, and it's kind of like, all right, well, it's Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, Mohamed Salah. We're assuming that Isak is walking through that door, but that's not a fact just yet. And so when you look at what this team might have been in the attack and currently is, they're a little light in terms of the numbers in the attack and in terms, not necessarily the quality. They have the quality, but I don't see depth in the attack. And that's why it becomes, as you just mentioned, 2 + 2 = 4. Isak is coming to Liverpool. Because otherwise, why would you make this sort of decisions? I was sitting here a couple of days ago, and Gab was on the show as well, sort of making the case and building the case that, listen, you don't have to push Darwin Nunez out the door until you have secure Isak. Mm-hmm. Because Darwin Nunez could play a role for you, and Ekitike could still be your starting striker, if indeed you didn't get Isak. Now, you put yourself out in a situation in which Darwin Nunez is gone, you've taken the money, good piece of business, but what do you do with that money and what do you do with the business? Because if Isak is not there, Then, as I mentioned before, just a mathematical equation. They seem to be short in numbers in terms of strikers.
Gab, what do you think about with what Ale said about that and the fact that the news that we heard this morning of Alexander Isak being told to train away from the Newcastle first team? Are we closer to guaranteeing his signing?
I think we're closer to Isak being willing to really push the boat out, trying to force a deal. I just find it a little bit curious because you guys are talking about they're light in attack, but I think there's such a thing as a hierarchy in the better teams. And if Isak comes, he expects to start. Mohamed Salah is obviously going to start. Florian Wirtz expects to start. Part of me looks at this and says, if we can put Wirtz among, looking at this graphic, why do we put Wirtz with the midfielders? Because somebody drew up a 4-2-3-1 and put him in the hole where the Szoboszlai position. I would imagine you could put Wirtz among the strikers. You could put Elliott, who of course started out as a winger. You could put him in that mix. Chiesa's still there for better or worse. I'm not sure you need to bring in an absolute A-list when I think there are issues elsewhere. What happens if Ryan Gravenberch gets hurt? Last year when Gravenberch slowed down, hey, you move McAllister there. Okay, fine. That's not McAllister's best position, and that means that then you have to make another adjustment. And that's before we get into the issue of the center backs. They were all ready to sign Dean Huyson. Then it didn't work out. What happened to that? Do you no longer need an option off the bench to replace Van Dijk or Konate? So I don't know if this is all some massive misdirection from Liverpool, where they have us all talking about Isak, but secretly they're trying to make moves elsewhere. Because otherwise, for me, I would agree they're light, but I wouldn't necessarily agree they're light in attack. They're light in other positions in terms of depth.
Frank, you were listening very keenly when Gab was talking just now. What do you think of all this?
Well, I really think, and I'm sorry for Xhaka and those people who think that Isak's going to stay, because, when you start seeing that a guy is not allowed to train with the rest of the team, it doesn't smell good. It doesn't smell very, very good, So I really think that Isak is on his way out, and I don't see any other club so much willing to get him. So I think he's going to sign for Liverpool, and Liverpool is going to be a tremendous club. So in terms of numbers, Ali, because I can't call him Alejandro.
No,
so Ali is.
That moved me again.
So Ali is right. It's a little bit short, but. I think they can move players like Curtis can stay and move if Wirtz is injured, but also he can play on the side. You have Gakpo as well, and I think they can manage to sort out any possibilities. And I think I never seen in the past decade a team so complete for me. Let's see how it works if they have injuries. But I feel something special with that team, where in any position. That team is the best in the world. So it has to be proven, but it's a very good sign for Liverpool this season.
I wonder if there's a Alexander Isak is leaving support group somewhere Xhaka could join, because this is week 2, I think, of this saga, and Xhaka, you're holding up all right.
Can't a man just be in denial and peace around here?
Oh.
I'm very comfortable. I'm comfortable.
You're very comfortable.
I'm comfortable in my denial.
Oh, please, can I do the show once this transfer is confirmed? Just to see, because I feel like you're going to need some tissues. We'll get some tissues for Xhaka. Anyways, as much as we love to have fun on the show, we have even more fun over on Extra Time. That's where these boys will be taking your questions. Make sure to check it out and join us on YouTube. All right, well, a juicy one is coming up in England, the Community Shield, and best believe we will be there at Wembley. Crystal Palace up against Liverpool. That's Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Set your alarms on ESPN+. ESPN FC is presented by Xfinity. The Wi-Fi is booming.
Veio te assistir hoje, ele estava aqui no Morumbi. Você acha que você agradou ele? Juan, da seleção.
Cara, eu não preciso preparar nada pra ninguém.
You heard the man. He has nothing to prove in terms of getting back in or being a part of Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil. Gab and Frank are with us. They never left because they were loving that top 10 Benjamin Sesko goals.
Top
but
four.
Ale, it was a top 10, Shaka. Listen, Ale, let's talk to you about Neymar. What did you make of his comments? No point to prove?
Well, and that in itself is, I think, where he doesn't get it, Neymar, because he does have something to prove. He does have something to prove to himself, first and foremost. And then once he does that, then he has to prove something to everybody else, including Carlo Ancelotti. One of the things that he has to prove is whether he can stay fit, he can stay healthy, he can be consistently productive for Santos, that he can be a dynamic game changer for Santos. And if he is a dynamic game changer for Santos consistently, can he be that for Brazil? We don't know that. We know what Neymar was, and what Neymar was indeed a game changer, was indeed a talented player that at any moment could take a handle of the ball, it can take a handle of the game and change the game for Brazil and any of his club teams at his best. His best was a long, long time ago. And a lot has happened since then, including injuries, including lack of performance, including lack of game time. If indeed you're going to be part of Brazil in the 2026 World Cup, yes, you have to prove something. And the quicker he accepts that he has to prove something to himself, and then he has to prove something to others, I think the better chance he has to be part of that team.
I'm really torn on this Neymar in the Brazil squad scenario.
As in if he should be an automatic inclusion.
Let me say, nobody's an automatic inclusion for any team, especially any national team, and certainly one with the history of Brazil. And I say this because I think the Neymar we remember at Barcelona is not the Neymar that we saw in Saudi Arabia, is not the Neymar we saw early on at Santos, and while he's been a whole lot better, he's still a long way from his best. He's still a long way from being an automatic inclusion into the Brazil squad. But then every time I see this Brazil play, I can't help but think they are screaming out for a personality like Neymar. And maybe I'm also thinking about Neymar at his best. Somebody who can create, somebody who can take the pressure away from those others around him. Neymar was that for Brazil at his best. They need somebody like that, and they do not have a ready-made replacement who can just take some of that pressure on, because that yellow jersey is a very heavy one. That's where the kind of my uncertainty comes.
Yeah, so look, if Neymar was killing it in Brazil, right, and you could see some of the signs of what he used to be, and I'm Carlo Ancelotti, and I see what I'm working with, and I need that sort of player that you're talking about, Shaka, I'm all for it. But you have to also understand that Neymar coming to the national team brings a circus with him. And the question that you have to answer if you're Carlo Ancelotti, is the circus worthwhile? And is the circus productive enough to where it becomes something that we can all handle and we can all get behind? Now, one of the things that Neymar has to prove is that he can come to the national team without the drama, without the controversy, without the circus, and still be a productive player. That is a big question that he's going to have to answer, and he's going to have to prove it whether he likes it or not.
Frank, what do you think about this? Does he have a point to prove?
Of course he has, and I think his comment was very condescending for me. I was watching footages of Neymar when he was younger, when he played in Brazil, and then when he played for Barcelona. That was amazing. That guy was simply an exception and the top of the top. But how long it's been since we haven't seen that? It's been 4, maybe 5 years. When he came to Paris Saint-Germain, the first year was quite okay, but that wasn't the Neymar that we saw in Barcelona. And since then, we saw injuries, we saw dramas, we saw comments, but we didn't see performances. So yes, you have to prove, especially when we are talking about Carlo Ancelotti. So yeah, we should have shown a little bit more humility towards the capacity of what Carlo Ancelotti can bring to him. And I think that's not fair. Carlo Ancelotti make the effort to not say, okay, no, it's over for Neymar, I don't want to see him anymore, he's part of the past, let's see the future. No, he takes care of him, he wants to see him, and the guy makes that comment. No, come on. So, and I agree with the guys. Yeah, if Neymar is fit, and with Xhaka is right, if Neymar is fit, then it can take him because of his personality. But I agree with Ali. If it brings his personality, the personality that is shown in this comment, no, it doesn't bring anything positive to the team. So Neymar will have to show to the world, so he will have to prove to the world that he deserves to go with the national team.
Well, Gab, let me come to you because our producers just told me that we should now call you the Ancelotti whisperer, from one Italiano to another. What do you think Carlo Ancelotti would make of these comments, and ultimately what he would do about this Neymar situation?
Look, Carlo Ancelotti's been there, done that. You talk about whisperers. Carlo Ancelotti is the Galactico whisperer. He knows how to get the best out of egomaniacs, prima donnas, deluded people. Because guess what? He coached Real Madrid for so many years, and they all loved him, from Cristiano Ronaldo to Vinicius to whoever you care to name, right? So he knows he can handle all that, but at the same time, he needs to put together a team, and at the same time, there's real competition, and we can talk about, oh, but the personality and blah, 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 the magic of Neymar. There's other people who play for Brazil who are also capable of magic, from Vini to Rafinha to whoever else you care to name. So, frankly, if I'm Ancelotti and I hear this, I say, bro, you're really, really deluded. And I can still work with you, but you need to meet me somewhere. Because I'll tell you what, I think other players hearing this, they're going to be annoyed. I mean, if I'm Vini, how do I feel hearing this guy say this? If I'm Vini, who's, I busted my backside for the national team, for Real Madrid, I've done this for the last 3 years, while this guy's either been injured or sitting in his hotel room in Saudi Arabia, and then he kind of says, well, I don't have to prove anything. No, dude, you do. You don't have to prove anything in terms of your career with Brazil. Your numbers are there. Nobody will ever take that away. But you have to prove that the Neymar right now belongs. If you're willing to show a little bit of humility, Carlo Ancelotti will always keep the door open for you. But you have to show that you live in planet Earth and that you don't live, in your own personal YouTube compilation from 2016.
All right, as my wife tells me quite often, it's not just what he said, it's how he said it.
It's the manner of delivery.
Yes. So,
and that went down like a lead balloon.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about this because Gab is all over the Gab and Jules show. It's back after a brief hiatus. Make sure to listen out for the podcast. It returns on Monday wherever you get your podcasts. ESPN FC is presented by Xfinity. The Wi-Fi is booming. Let's get into some Leagues Cup highlights now, shall we? LAFC up against Tigres, and look who was in attendance. LAFC's newest acquisition, man like Sonny, sorry Spurs. 35th minute now, LAFC taken down, Brunetta taken down here. Penalty? Any questions here?
Not an awful lot for me. I think there is some contact, whether he's going down. Bigger questions are, how does he find so much space?
David Martinez.
Come on, say it.
Vamos, Venezuela!
Yes, indeed. Oh, more on him later, though. But Tigres managed to pull one back here. Game tied, one apiece.
I'll leave the next highlight for our resident Venezuelan. Nice header, Ivan. Look, I would make.
Do you know what? Ale, walk us through this whole one because this is your moment. This is Venezuela's moment.
I want this guy's moment to come in September with the Venezuelan national team. That's when I want the moment. Vamos, Venezuela!
The no selly. He was like, come as you do.
So basically, the way that you rate players, that means that David Martinez is no good because his celebration was not top five.
That was, come on. For someone from Vino Tinto, we need a bit more like sazon in that celebration. Okay. More aerial presence. Right. Anyways, plenty more Leagues Cup action.
You want sazon, you get set.
On Football Americas, Cristina Alexander, Hercules Gomez, and Sebastian Salazar will be there Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN+. All right, welcome into Extra Time. Gab Marcotti and Frank Leboeuf are still with us. Frank, did you ever look at that fight?
Yes, I love that fight. You know, I love the end of it when one of the teammates tried to punch somebody and he punched his teammates. Have you seen that? Have you seen that he punched his teammate?
I missed that.
He missed the guy and punched his guy. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Well, for those who are just tuning into Extra Time and not the show, Real Betis had a preseason game against Como and they got into an altercation afterwards. Fists were flying. I'm sure a few naughty words as well. But Frank, I knew he was going to love the fight. Frank, how was your vacation? How's your luxury vacation? I live for ex-footballer vacations.
What?
Listen, my wife and I went to Sevilla, and I have to say, it's one of the nicest cities in the world, with full of history, and we enjoyed 3 days of a hot weather, very much hot weather. And after we went down to Cadiz, in Spain, in the Atlantic Sea, and we relaxed by the beach, and that was a lovely time. And we're back in Normandy, but we missed our time. I'm pleased to be with you guys, but the 10 days were very important. Good 10 days rest for us.
What do you think, Shaq? What do you think? Frank and the beach. Speedos?
Oh, Frank's a
Speedos
Speedos.
for
Frank's a
sure.
Speedos guy.
Absolutely.
Frank's a
Speedos.
Speedo guy.
Frank's
Of course not. Of course not.
Frank, come on.
It's forbidden.
No,
Frank
is a fluorescent
I think
colored
so.
Speedos.
Fluorescent. I'm thinking like neon pink.
What, neon pink?
Highlighter pink.
What'd you say, Frank? I'm sorry. What'd you say, Frank?
No Speedo, G-strings.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought you said. That's what I thought you said.
Not the juice.
Truth always comes out.
Truth always comes out. Have you guys ever worn a Speedo on the beach?
When I was a kid in Venezuela, that's what we
That's
rocked.
it. But in adulthood.
No.
No.
Shaka said no. I think these were the answers that nobody wanted. But we'll get into the questions now, shall we? First one coming from Phil, and he wants to know, are they, I'm assuming you guys, on the Manchester United bandwagon yet? Oh my days.
We know who is.
Who's riding and driving that bandwagon?
Excuse me, I built that bandwagon.
Yep.
Even though those wheels be falling off and it's chattering.
You got square wheels on that wagon.
I've got square wheels of wood on that wagon, but I still drive it proudly.
Phil, we had a top 10 today. 6 of them were tap-ins.
Yes.
2 yards out.
But it's from Benjamin Sesko. And you know where he's going.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Just trying to give everyone a little preview of what he's going to be doing when he's laying down defenders in the Premier
One-person
League.
bandwagon going on right here.
So, answer to your question, no, nobody's on the bandwagon. Apart from me, I'm still driving it solo and proudly. Dan Summertan wants to know, I don't think Dan can tan. Frank, if Chelsea sign Xavi Simons, will they win the Premier League title this season?
There's no win. There's no. They missed our win. So we don't know what. We don't know what it is.
Yeah, there's.
We don't know what it is. Dan Summertan is going for.
Yeah. It has win here, so
right,
maybe the
so-
graphic just.
Okay.
I'd avoid to point out the mistake by the graphic people, Shaq.
Yes.
You know this is a team.
Now they're gonna get yelled
I
at.
thought it was a mistake by Dan Summertan.
Guys, this
I
question
was just
for
making the
Frank.
point that we don't know what Dan Summertan is talking about.
This question was for Frank. Let Frank have his 2 minutes of fame. Frank?
I don't think so. I mean, I really appreciate Xavi Simons. I saw him starting at Paris Saint-Germain, and I saw what he did to RB Leipzig. But again, there is a difference between playing for RB Leipzig and playing after for a big club like Chelsea. And there is a way to settle down the quickest as possible, but we don't know how it's going to be Xavi Simons. And if you have to compare right now, Liverpool and Chelsea, for example, you will say that Liverpool are the favorites. But it's encouraging to see the signing that I saw from Chelsea, and Chelsea can be, let's say, one of the contender, but more, I would say, more one of the 4 teams for the Champions League. But to pretend that you can win the Premier League, you still need more consistency and more experience for me.
Let me go to Gab quickly on this one. Gab, what is the latest on this one? Will Chelsea get Xavi Simons?
I think it's blowing hot and cold. I think he's made it very clear that he wants to move on. I think Leipzig are ready to cash in. for me, the big question with Xavi Simons is what's the knock-on effect going to be on the rest of the team? How is it going to impact Cole Palmer? How is it going to impact Enzo? Who's going to play where? You know, these are just questions. You don't just drop Xavi Simons into a team and say, oh, look, he's a good player. Chelsea have made a bunch of other signings. What does Maresca actually have in mind? And like I said, with Chelsea, it often looks like, oh, look, here's an asset. Let's sign him, and then we'll figure out what to do with him later, knowing that if he's young and if he's talented, you know, we can always kind of flip him and sort out our books if it doesn't work out for us. So, yeah, I don't know. He adds depth, sure, but would he crack the starting 11? I'm not 100% certain.
Just for a little bit of context, because we seem to be loving Xavi Simons and Benjamin Sesko and these players from Leipzig. Just a reminder, Leipzig missed out on the top four in Bundesliga. And part of the reason as to why they missed out is because Xavi Simons was not playing at his best. Benjamin Sesko was not as productive as they thought he would be. Lois Openda was coming up short. I'm just saying, we seem to believe and think and project that these guys were magnificent over here, they're going to be great over there. Well, they were not magnificent over here. And so that projection as to magically they're going to be great somewhere else, I think we're taking a leap with both Sesko and Xavi Simons.
Gab?
I think I'm right in saying I think they lost 8 or 9 games out of 10 in the Champions League. And if there's a cautionary tale to the model, it's Leipzig, because this is a team that accumulates talent and then says, all right, we'll figure out later how the pieces fit together. And this is why I'm not 100% on Xavi Simons. Does he add depth and make you better? Yeah, but Chelsea have added a lot of players that add depth and make them better. But then you got to come up with a lineup where it makes sense for these guys to play together. So I don't think it's Xavi Simons who puts Chelsea over the top.
All right. Let's move on to the next question now, shall we? And it's for Gab again. Gab, what are your thoughts on the new rule where Serie A players' salaries will automatically be reduced by 25% if their club is relegated to Serie B? Could this be adopted by other leagues?
Yeah, so they're doing this across the board. It's like a collective bargaining type thing. So, even the big clubs have that in there. It's really not uncommon. I mean, even in the Premier League, basically most of the teams in the bottom half of the table, already the players individually have these clauses in their contract where in case of relegation, their pay gets cut. 2 reasons to do this. One is obviously the team saves money and can hang on to the player, but also it reduces their salary. So in some cases, it becomes easier to move them on. But I think it's purely common sense. I mean, the gap between the top flight, even with the parachute payments and the second tier in all of Europe's big 5 leagues, is just very, very significant. So it's a good way for clubs to protect themselves.
As former players?
This used to be a thing, I'm going to say a thing, well, certainly in English football. And while it wasn't automatically deducted by the league, more and more there were clauses in player contracts that if we get relegated, this is the drop in wages that will happen. I'm not sure where that went because I've not signed a player contract for quite some time.
5 years?
Yeah, well, but I kind of thought it was a thing for clubs who figured that there would be a chance of them going down. I didn't know it went away.
It is a thing, and in fact, not to bring it back to Manchester United, but I know you love talking about them, Alexis. Most United players have a clause in their contract where if they don't qualify for the Champions League, their wages get cut by some percentage the following season, which is why most United players this year are making less money than they did last year because they'll be watching the Champions League on television. Probably less than 2 years ago. Yeah.
Somebody should tell Sesko that.
Big clubs have this too.
That in and of itself after last season is genuinely a blessing. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that. Next question, because it's from Nico, and I love me a start, bench, drop, and everyone has to get in on it. So start, bench, drop, and sell based on their peak Tottenham form.
Oh boy.
So Keane, I'm assuming Robbie Keane, Berbatov, Gareth Bale, and Sonny. Start, bench, drop, and sell.
Go ahead, Frank.
Go ahead, Frank. You have it.
I go for it. At the time where they played at Tottenham, Bale, it will be my first choice. I will start Bale. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic. Then I put Berbatov. I mean, I was a big fan of Berbatov. I saw him playing, a great talent when he played for Manchester United and Tottenham, for example. So Bale, Berbatov, Son, because of his personality, the way he was playing. And I have to put Keane. I know Keane, I played against him, he's a great guy, but comparing to the others, no, I'm sorry, not the same league for me.
All right, so you'll sell Keane, drop Sonny, bench Berbatov, and of course start Gareth Bale. Gab, what about you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if your benchmark is the peaks, I'm not a Gareth Bale guy at all, but when he was at his best, he was virtually unplayable. So I think, yeah, I agree. You got to start Bale. I might have Heung-min Son second, simply because there were periods when he really carried the team. I'm thinking a couple years ago when Harry Kane had a long spell out and Son just started scoring like there was no tomorrow. He kind of, filled his boots. And then, yeah, I would take Berba. I would drop Berba and I would sell Keane. And it's not a knock on Keane. It's just for me, Robbie Keane was more about consistency over time than he was necessarily, outstanding individual one-off performances. He like Bale's hat trick against Inter Milan or whatnot.
Chaka?
I'm with Gab on this one. I think starting Bale and dropping Keane are fairly consistent with that, and then the decision came between Berbatov and Son, but I'm leaning Son over Berbatov.
Ooh, rude.
I have a soft spot for
Berbatov. Same.
Yeah, there's something about the way
You
he
would have
played
a
the
soft
game.
spot for Berbatov. You must have a soft
I don't know
spot.
what you're talking about. I just think he's a great player.
Well,
Chaka, he's a great player. I've interviewed him a few times,
we know
and
you
he's
have
a great individual as well.
Carry on, Ali.
Okay. In any case, Bale,
Yes.
start, Berbatov, bench, drop Son, sell Keane. So I agree with Frank. And the case of Berbatov, nothing to do with Manchester United. I'm just talking about the player himself was at his best. I don't know if he was as appreciated as he should have been, as good a player as he was.
Oh yeah.
And
You're right.
There I say underrated in the Premier League as to how good he was. Berbatov was special.
Berbatov was special. Wow, that was the loving Ale voice.
Yes.
We don't often get it.
What do you mean?
But we got
Not
it
even at
today.
home.
Not
We don't even get that when
Oh
he's
no, you get that at home. You get that.
We get the loving Ale voice. The twinkle in his eye.
Love you, babe. Love you.
Talking about Berbatov.
Yeah, another
my
4 or
days.
5 years before we see
Get
that.
the guitar on the show. Next question is coming from Ali's Uber driver. Everyone loved that one. Ali's Uber driver.
What?
For Alexis and Shaka. Wow. What's your favorite Caribbean dish, and what's one you'd recommend the rest of the panel has to try? My favorite one, hands down, would be ackee and saltfish. It's the national dish of Jamaica. I absolutely love it. It's something we have for breakfast, lunch, dinner. And
Explain
it's the
it,
one
explain
thing. Ackee is, believe it or not, a fruit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fruit that was brought over from West Africa during colonization. And it honestly is not sweet. It takes the flavor of whatever you cook it with.
Okay.
And if you force it open and cook it, it's poisonous, it's toxic. Okay. So you have to wait for the fruit to bloom and then cook it. We cook it with like salted codfish, which is like bacalao as well, which we got from the Spanish influence in Jamaica. We have it, like I said, for breakfast, lunch, dinner with like boiled ground provisions like yam, green banana, breadfruit, which is my favorite. I will have that all the time. If I had to recommend a dish for everybody to try, it would be oxtail. Jamaican oxtail with butter beans. It's just like a nice, thick stew. Low and slow for hours.
Wow.
Okay.
On rice.
Jamaican food, I'd go for it. I'd recommend jig chicken. I love a jig chicken.
I feel like everyone
Over
expects
oxtail.
that though.
Yeah, I know.
Over oxtail?
Over oxtail.
Shaq, I'm leaving here. Good night. I'm done.
Jig chicken of oxtail. But my favorite Caribbean dish, roti, which is curried meat, usually with vegetables, potatoes, could be anything, and it's wrapped in I heard my cousin from Canada describe it as almost pita bread-like, but it's made with. I'm looking at you because I'm
trying to describe it.
It's made with split peas, and it's thinner than a pita bread, similar texture but thin, and it's wrapped. And again, that originated in Trinidad with the East Indians coming over during indentureship and being able to take their curry out into the fields with them, and that's become a big dish of ours.
That is the deepest, more context and fact-based information that we have ever heard from Shaka Hislop at any point in the history of ESPN FC.
We are proud of our culture.
Man, do you ever put that kind of work into the Shaka Power rankings?
No.
Good luck.
But I do have to say, for anyone trying Trini food or Trinbagonian food, anything curry. Trinis will curry anything. It could be this paper. They will curry it, and it will taste amazing. No, it will taste amazing.
I was trying to tell Frank the other day how good our food is.
Yeah.
It wasn't having it.
We do curry as well in Jamaica, but we do curry goat.
Yeah, we do curry well.
And curry chicken, and curry shrimp, and curry fish sometimes. But Trini curry,
we do curry
that's a notch above.
From here on out, when I go home and my wife thinks that I'm a little upset, a little angry, a little prickly, I say, I'm like Aki in Jamaica.
Yes. You just haven't fully blown.
If you force me open, I'm poisonous.
You've got
to wait for the flower to bloom.
You gotta wait for me to bloom naturally.
If you buy some Aki, do not force it open. You can't poison yourself. But now they sell them in tins if you don't want to grow it in your backyard, I suppose, and risk being poisoned.
Well, I can tell you, Alexi, next time, if one day you invite me at home to have a dinner, allow me to be a little bit suspicious, because I'm not
sure. Just think of me as an Aki as well. I can be poisonous. Us Jamaican women, you never know. You never know.
Okay.
You never know.
I think it's time to go now.
Where do we go?
We have one more question. And it's for Gab. Oh, well, Gab, Jai wants to know, what's with the Gab and Jules show? No new episodes since July 14th? Wow, Gab. Gab's not been working.
It's the summer. We go on holiday. I think we're entitled to this.
Wow, must be nice.
Yeah, we don't go on holiday here.
We don't go on holiday.
We don't go on holiday here.
Jules and I have unionized.
You never do.
This is part of our collective bargaining agreement. Footballers get those 3 weeks off, right? And so we get some time off over the summer. We got to come back fighting fit, but don't worry, there isn't long to go. We're going to be back, I think, just after the Community Shield.
Yes, indeed.
We need Real Madrid's lawyers here.
Jules is just topping up his can as we speak.
Oh my days.
So I'm in London, so I don't get that. But he's working on his UV.
Nobody tans in London.
Did you say, Shaka? Did you say with a straight face, we don't get holidays here? Yeah. You did say that with a straight face. Mm-hmm. And you believed it when you said it.
I believe it now.
What do you believe more? The fact that there are no holidays here, or that Alexander Isak staying with Newcastle?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, boy. So,
in denial.
If Isak goes, can I get a holiday?
Oh,
you will either way, Shaq. You will either way.
Let me tell you, taking vacation or choosing holidays is Shaka Hislop's Olympics. I have never seen somebody so.
It's like he goes in the Matrix. When he's about to set up that vacation in front of his computer, he's not even talking to people. He's fully focused.
He is in the zone.
He is in the Matrix, in the zone. Nobody better.
He was never in that zone. We never even saw that level of concentration in between the sticks, Shaka.
I knew I should have left.
Never won. When's the next holiday?
What?
Yeah.